Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're cracking open a field guide to one of the most talked about and, let's be honest, often misunderstood topics in education, applied behavior analysis, or ABA, inside our public schools. So what is ABA, really? I mean, beyond the acronym and all the controversy you might see online, what does it actually look like for a student day to day? To find out, we have to go inside the classroom. Okay, so at its core, ABA is a scientific framework, and this part is key. It's not one specific therapy. It's more like a methodology, a whole approach focused on teaching skills that really matter in life. We're talking communication, social skills, self-care, the important stuff. And the whole point is to do it in a way that's both meaningful for the student and measurable for the team. But, a definition on a slide only gets you so far, right? To really, truly grasp what this is all about, you have to meet the actual kids whose lives are shaped by it every single school day. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to follow the journeys of 3 very different students to see what effective ABA looks like on the ground. And, just as importantly, what happens when it goes wrong. First up, we're going to meet Marcus. He's 9 years old, he has severe nonverbal autism, and he needs really intensive round-the-clock support. Then there's Aaliyah. She's 11, and her story is a huge red flag for any school system. Her progress hasn't just stopped. In some areas, she's actually going backwards, and we're going to dig into why. And finally, Ethan. He's 14, super bright in his classes, but feels completely disconnected from the social world around him. His journey is going to show us a totally different side of ABA, one you might not expect. All right, let's start with Marcus. His story is a perfect example of how ABA is used to build essential skills, quite literally from the ground up. So a core technique they use with Marcus is called discrete trial training, or DTT. What's so powerful about this is just how systematic it is. A skill is broken down into these tiny, manageable pieces. 1, an instructor gives a clear cue. 2, Marcus responds. 3, an immediate consequence follows. And 4, this is the crucial part. Data is collected on every single trial. There's no guessing. This precision is all about finding exactly what works for him. And here's the result. This chart shows Marcus's progress in spontaneously using his communication device to ask for things he wants. He went from 18% to 40%. Now, that's not a miracle cure, but it is clear, measurable progress. This data tells the story of a child finding his voice, gaining agency in his own life. That is a success story. Now let's switch gears and move to Aaliyah's story, because her story shows what happens when the data tells a very different story, and nobody seems to be listening. Just look at this table. It is the polar opposite of Marcus's chart. Her ability to use communication systems is actually regressing. It's going down. Her use of her communication device is declining. The data here is basically screaming that the program is failing her. So what went wrong? Well, a huge part of the problem was the goals themselves. Her old goal was simply, Aaliyah will improve communication skills. How do you even measure that? You can't. It's useless. Now look at the revised goal. It's a SMART goal. It's specific, it's measurable, it gives the team a clear target, and respects her right to a program that's actually designed to work. And this is the bottom line. This phrase, no meaningful measurable progress, is pulled right from her case file. And legally, because of a Supreme Court ruling, that is a 5-alarm fire. It means the school is failing to provide her an appropriate education. Aaliyah's story is just a powerful, sobering warning about the real-world cost of bad data and vague goals. Okay, so finally, let's turn to Ethan. His story really challenges the stereotypes of ABA, showing how it can be used for much more complex social and emotional skills. There's a critical point here. High functioning is not the same as fine. Ethan has a high IQ, but he struggles immensely with all the unwritten rules of the social world. Interpreting sarcasm, making and keeping friends, even just getting started on his work. These are huge, invisible challenges that require a very tailored plan. So how do you tackle that? Well, one strategy they use is the zones of regulation. It's a system that teaches Ethan to identify his own emotional state. Is he in the calm green zone, the agitated yellow zone, or the out-of-control red zone? And based on his zone, he has a whole menu of coping strategies he can use. It's a behavioral approach to teaching emotional intelligence, giving him tools for self-awareness and control. His team also uses the PEERS program. Think of it like a social skills class that's based on behavioral principles. It explicitly teaches the how of social interaction, stuff that many of us just take for granted.
For Ethan, this isn't intuitive. It has to be taught systematically, just like algebra. It's about giving him the dignity of social connection.
So, after following Marcus, Aaliyah, and Ethan, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, for me, it really boils down to two words: data and dignity. First, effective ABA is never a one-person show. It takes a whole team. You've got the BCBA who designs the program, but it's the RBTs, the special ed teacher, the OT, the speech pathologist. They're the ones who bring it to life every day, all of them relying on the same shared data. And that brings us to maybe the most important point of all. ABA isn't a rigid, one-size-fits-all therapy. It's a flexible framework. The thread that connects Marcus gaining a voice, Aliyah getting the effective program she deserves, and Ethan learning to navigate his social world is a relentless focus on data. That precision is what provides a dignified, individualized education. In the end, it all comes down to something really powerful. The framework, the data, the science, all of it depends on a team of caring, well-trained adults using these tools to help write a different, better story for a child. And that leaves us all with a final question to think about. In our schools, for our most vulnerable students, what story is the data telling us? And are we listening?